time began. Far away in the distant land, populated by people, they are the children of dragon. 黑眼睛，黑头发，黄皮肤，永永远远龙的传人。黑眼睛，黑头发，黄皮肤，永永远远龙的传人。黑眼睛 means dark eyes, black. 黑头发 means black hair. 黄皮肤 means yellow skin. 永永远远 forever descendants of dragon. That's a song about China. My country of origin is obvious, it's China. It's one of the oldest cultures in the world. Our people can be traced back to when the first people arrived in Europe. Back then we lived in caves. We light fires. We used stone and bone tools. We wore fur and leather clothing. Now one of our sacred ceremonies is when our family gather together, we burn incense and we make offerings to generations who have gone before us. The First Nation people hold their ceremonies in big houses. They call them big houses. Everybody gather there. They honor their friends. They share things between people. They celebrate weddings, births, and also death. Not celebrate, but they observe death. But we have one thing in common, and that is ancestral worship. Ancestral worship is respecting one's elders. So we have that in common. China and Canada is separated by the huge Pacific Ocean. But then there is a push and pull relationship that brought us here in Canada. Back in the 1800s, our population was growing so fast that there were too many people and not enough food. Bandits and pirates invade our villages. And there were floods and droughts as well. Things won't grow, we don't have enough to eat. We were poor. So that pushed us away from our land. When the white people arrived in this land, they said, wow, big land, huge resources, everything they want. The native people were pulled to them because they didn't know anything. The white people didn't know anything. They didn't know where the rivers ended. They didn't know how many fishes there were. They didn't know where the animals were, how to hunt, how to make a living. So the native people shared their knowledge readily. But what happened to the white people? Different concept. I like this land. I want to put down stakes, dig it up, clear the land, and grow. But this is my farm. So what happened to the native people? Go away. They were pushed away into reservations. And now, when you have seen movies where cowboy Indians, they shoot them. They may have shot a few, but actually they didn't really kill them all. In 1871, Vancouver sailed the ocean blue. 1 year after that, there was smallpox epidemic. Then came other diseases like tuberculosis, influenza, measles, or even the common cold. And soon after that, not long after that, 80 to 90 people, 90% of the First Nation people were dead from diseases that they had no resistance, because they lived in this land. The First Nation people live in this land. They have a different concept. Under the Father Sky and the Mother Earth, everything to them is sacred. It is a balance. They will not waste anything. They will only take what is required. They don't overfish, overhunt, and when they're exhausted, they go away. They let the land regenerate, and they move. So that everything is in balance and harmony. So they listen to nature. So even when in nature tells them there was a big flood, the river has been changed, they have to move, they suffer. So to them, to the First Nation people, hey, nature is telling me I'm doing something wrong, maybe. You know, they listen, they pay heed to what is wrong. So when they listen to nature, we will learn how to heal ourselves. Heal what we do is wrong to the nature. But it's different with the white people. When they see the Fraser River, when they see huge amount of fish coming in, there's a lot of money to be made. So what happened? They say, I want to catch all this fish and put in cans. Now for us Chinese who end up here, we need work. We had no work, no food in China. So we sold our little piece of land for the price of a steamship ticket. Some of us who didn't have land to sell, they signed signed an agreement with a labor contractor who sent them here, and with the wages they deduct. You know, usually they're scavengers. You see one of them there, you know, he's my boss. Later you meet him. When you see him, kick him in the butt, okay? Takes too much money away from me. You know, we have a whole bunch of Chinese together. We spend years together. Lonely men, away from home. All dreaming of going back. Saving our money. Going back with a pot of gold. By the time we will be old, you know. Hopefully, the people back home still remembers us, because we're bringing money, no. But that's the life of the Chinese worker. So with this salmon as resource, canneries were being set up over here, Dees Island, by Mr. Dees. So we worked for Mr. Dees. He brought in the Chinese people, and he brought in the native people. How do they work? How do we work? The native taught us how to use dugout canoes. We call this, not all, we call it torture sticks. Why is it called torture stick? Because you've got to roll them for so many hours. It's a really torture to roll. And nets, these nets were set and pulled by two people on the boat. Two of them. They were heavy too. Heavy with salmon. And the people earned, the fishermen earned $2.25 for a 12-hour shift. The boat puller earned $1. He's usually, the boat puller is a Chinese, $1. And the native earns a little bit more because he knows how to fish. So when the boat is full of fish, we go back to the dock. And we put all these fishes into baskets. And we take the basket, pour them onto the floor. Just like this. Sometimes it piles so high, you can hardly move. But you know, when there's so many dead fish together, the smell is, whoa, it's overwhelming. Whoa. Now what do? Next set of people. On the table, to clean the table off, they take the fish, chop the tail off, chop the head. Another guy will go scrape the scale out, and then throw in the washing tank. And then from the washing tank into the drainer. And then we have to decide which is a good fish and which is a bad fish. We throw the bad ones away, just take it out and throw it into a chute. But we never clean what's underneath the chute. So, what do you get underneath that chute? Piles of rotting dead fish. days. I mean, can you imagine the smell in these islands then? Stink. And then with that, there's a lot of oil and everything. Everything goes back into the river. I mean, somehow all this pollutant goes back into the river. But people didn't care about that. They just want to make money. So take the fish out, chop it into smaller pieces, take the can, a piece of back, a piece of belly, boil it, close it, put in the cans, okay? And then they put cans into trays, and then they put trays into, nail it into crates. And that's how it is. Day after day, 7 days a week, this canning operation goes on. But at the same time, taking all the fish from the river. There was only not one cannery. There were many, many canneries. And these canneries were like perched there, like vultures, you know, waiting for them. Every salmon run, they just catch them. And very soon after that, exhaustion. No more fish. And it is true, you know, when there's no more fish, it doesn't go up there. They get nothing to eat. So, back in 1871, 2,000 of these crates of canned salmon were shipped out from BC, and that launched the British Columbia canned salmon industry. And people liked that because it tasted good. And the following year, that number tripled, 3 times that. And soon, canned salmon was eaten everywhere in the world, as far away as England. Then came stock depletion. Hey, where are the fish? They didn't come this year. Oh wait, let's wait another day. Maybe they'll come. So the Victoria colonists, they were writing, maybe we should go for other imperishable resources. Maybe chop down the trees. They call them imperishable. Or dig up, you know, for coal or oil or copper. Do that rather than fish. They're, you know, depleting them. You know, if the canners had a mantra, you know what a mantra is? You know, Buddhists, we say a mantra. That would have been greed. It's greed that drove all these people. So, in closing, we have a poem to describe the Fraser River. Along the shore where life began, fed by the sea, formed by the land, under the sun and the moon's command we live, to feed our family of woman and man, born and raised by the Georgia Strait. She's part of us, we share her fate. She's precious still each year. Our love for her will persevere.